And a good Friday evening. I appreciate you dropping in and spending some time with us on 10 TV Plus on this Friday, getting a little bit of inside baseball on the track of the active weather we've got coming in this weekend. A blast of winter, including snow, some wind, cold, and that's followed by a lot of cold temperatures getting into the beginning of next week. But first things first, and the million-dollar question that everybody is asking: heard about it, snow? When's it going to start? How much am I going to get where I live? So first, we're going to get into the forecast where we have some new information. I'm going to give you a complete breakdown over the next few minutes, so bear with us. And before I do, I want to let you know two things. One, you can catch and share and spread. If you're not watching us at 10 TV Plus, perhaps on Facebook, let everybody know about that as well on 10 TV Facebook page. With the 10 TV Plus is a great way to do that on your connected TV. Also, I'm monitoring right now our Facebook feed. If you have a question, just let me know. I'm not going to be able to answer direct messages because we're going to get a ton of them. We already are, actually. And I'll do my best. If I don't answer you directly, know that I will acknowledge and see that. And I will try and answer that during our conversation over the next 14 minutes. The other way to get in touch with me is if you have a mobile phone, you can text. It's very easy. That's 614, the number at the bottom of the screen there, if we can throw that up there for a second. That's 614. I'm having a brain lapse at the moment, but it'll come up soon. That's all right. I can get it right now. Let me just jump over here. 460-3345, 614-460-3345. So just shoot me a message. And it's actually pretty important, too, to keep that in mind, because during the day tomorrow, you can send in your reports and pictures and your questions to the team, too. So let's get to it. Taking that to headlines for you. We've got back-to-back 10 weather impact alert days for tomorrow and for Sunday. Reason for tomorrow, of course, is the accumulating snow that we're expecting for the afternoon and the evening. And then bitter cold and windy on Sunday. Wind chills on Sunday morning down around, if not below zero. So a very, very disruptive weekend coming up. On one hand, the snow, the second hand, the wind and the cold. The only saving grace we might have, depending on what your perspective is, if you want a break from the cold and winter, it's coming next week, but at a price. We're going to see temperatures warming back up. Next storm, I should say, a better chance of seeing rain than snow. But let's focus on this weekend first. That's why we have 2 10 weather impact alert days on your Saturday and Sunday. First one because of snow, second one because of the wind and cold. So we're looking at that timeline really starting about midday tomorrow, going through tomorrow night and into Sunday morning. Even though we're not going to carry the 10 weather impact alert all day Sunday, it is still going to be bitter cold, because after the accumulating snow ends tomorrow night, then the wind chills are going to be at or below zero for a good part of the day on Sunday. Yeah, we'll see some sunshine Sunday, maybe a couple of flurries, but temperatures are going to stay in the teens. So it won't take much to push that wind chill down to, if not below zero. A little bit of advice: be ready. We've been talking about this event for a couple days now, and stay connected. We're going to be on 10 TV Plus, the 10 Weather Impact team, with Aaron and with Michael on and off all day tomorrow, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. Be ready. That's one way to stay connected, but also download the 10 TV mobile app, because we'll be providing updates during the day on the storm, perhaps if there's snow levels that are changed in the county in which you live, and maybe some delays and or closings for both Saturday night, and even into Sunday. Right now, the warnings and watches have not changed. The areas in the purple, a winter storm watch that goes through Sunday morning. Areas in the pink, a winter storm warning. Everybody I expect to see accumulating snow, but it's the southern counties and communities which are going to see snow a little bit sooner and last a little bit longer, and their forecast amounts will be a little bit higher. And we're going to break that down for you coming up. But look at what's happening right now. Not a whole lot. That storm has really yet to get its legs and start to form anywhere near central Ohio. So you have at least 12 hours into mid-morning on Saturday before things start to get a little bit dicey. Temperatures also nothing terribly concerning. We're at or just below freezing, and looking at pretty steady temperatures between tonight and tomorrow morning. The good news there is, with temperatures in that range between 25 and 32 degrees, areas that are treated or that will be treated during the start of the storm have a very good chance of responding. So more slush, more wet roads than snow for the first part of the afternoon. Again, very little temperature change between now and lunchtime on Saturday. That changes, though, and not for the better. Temperatures dropping fast as we get through the second half of tomorrow evening. Winds are going to pick up, and that combination, especially after dark, just making for some pretty dicey travel conditions. As I said, the next 12 hours getting us through mid-morning on Saturday, very little change. Waking up tomorrow morning with cloud cover, temperatures around 30, and getting through the middle part of the day with pretty much the same. But looking at the rest of the day tomorrow, while we stay around 30 through about lunchtime, it's not a coincidence that the time that the precipitation, that snow starts, is the same time our temperatures start to drop. Heavier precipitation will cool things down a bit, and as the precipitation, the snow begins to fade in the evening, as a storm system pulls away after dark, that will allow the northwest winds to move around and really push the snow out, but also draw in that colder air. All right, let's go hour by hour, starting tomorrow morning at 8:30 a.m. We are watching a couple of scattered snow showers, and this is the latest model information coming in since we spoke earlier this evening at 4, 5, and 6. What we're watching is a scattered snow shower and then a little bit of a burst coming in around noon. Between noon and about 3 o'clock, yeah, everybody sees that snow. But if you look closely, you will see a couple of pockets where there's a little bit of a lighter tone, a little bit of a darker tone. But know that those areas that have that darker area, which at times will be just about anywhere, but specifically south and east of I-71, that's where the intense snow will happen. Now by 6 o'clock, we're seeing pretty much the same thing in terms of some lighter pockets of snow and some heavier pockets of snow. But notice where those heavier pockets of snow continue to be, along and south of Interstate 70. Second half of the evening and about tomorrow night, about this time actually, about 24 hours from now, we'll be watching the back edge of the snow moving in, still impacting areas a bit disproportionately along the Ohio River in the southeastern part of the viewing area. And as those snow showers taper off quickly, that's around midnight tomorrow night, that's when the winds really get going. And looking at Sunday morning around sunrise, might see a streamer with some additional snow showers. Some of the snow will be blown around and maybe a little bit of drifting going on. Again, we're not talking about feet of snow, but it's overnight. Temperatures are dropping. Winds will be picking up. It's going to be cold and blustery and just unpleasant Sunday morning and then through the day. Although we will see some sunshine, it's not looking like the best finish to the weekend because of that intense cold. Now, in terms of the snowfall amount, some minor adjustments. This is between tomorrow, let's just call it noon to midnight, a 12-hour stretch. We are still looking at about 2.5 to 3 inches for a good part of the viewing area in the northern parts, about 3 to 3.5 to 4 inches plus Columbus, Newark 3.3, London 3.6, Lancaster at 4.5. If you watched us earlier today, you knew that that area of the darker blue was a bit more widespread, and there was a little bit of a lighter blue up to the north. And as we said earlier today, as the situation gets a little bit closer and becomes a little clearer, we'll be able to put a finer point on some of these numbers. I do fully expect that these numbers, this map is going to change a little bit between now, tomorrow morning, tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow night. But just know that we're talking about, on average, around 3 inches of snow. So you'll probably will treat that the same as 4 inches of snow or 2 inches of snow, plowing, sweeping, shoveling, scraping, snow blowing, that sort of thing. So we're talking about something that is more than just a nuisance, and the challenge is going to be compounded later on in the day tomorrow as the winds pick up and that snow gets moved around, temperatures drop. The road crews are going to have their hand full, even with, again, a 3 or a 4 inch snowfall. So let's break down the 10 weather impacts back to back for Saturday and Sunday. In great detail, we just talked about what's happening tomorrow and tomorrow night. A little bit of a finer point on Sunday because the wind chills during that time period, not just in the morning, starting 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, lunchtime, we're still below zero wind chills all afternoon. It means it's going to be a brutally cold day, tough to get rid of that snow. It's going to really freeze and kind of turn glacial on us on Sunday night into Monday morning when temperatures drop down to the single digits. Saving grace Monday to Tuesday is no snow. We'll see some sunshine, temperatures warming up, relatively speaking, to around freezing on Tuesday. And then we get into a pretty significant warm stretch. The pendulum swing in the other direction, 41, 44, and 51. Might see a flake or a raindrop on Wednesday. A much better chance of rain showers on Thursday and Friday. So it looks like that moderating temperature trend will continue at least into the upcoming weekend. The bad news is, if you want a white Christmas, it's going to be tough to come by, as whatever we gain in this part of the forecast will more than likely be lost as we get toward this part of the forecast next week. So keep that in mind. We're looking at, again, back-to-back 10 weather impact alert days, and something that is why we're on here for at least 5 or 6 more minutes. So I know the question you're going to ask before I even look at them, so we're going to get right to it. And we're going to go back to the snowfall amounts for you. And that will just allow us to take a little bit of a closer perspective and just spend a little more time on that. So if we can pull up that map, that is our main weather computer, and we're just going to reference this for a few minutes. I'm going to answer a couple of questions as we go on through. So we're looking at South Bloomfield and Asheville. Josiah, thank you for reaching out. Let's go check a couple other folks here. Again, I'm multitasking, so I appreciate you all bearing with me here. We've got Newark, football all day on Sunday on 10 TV. I like where you're going with that, Harry. Yes, I like that. Christy, it's December. Is this news? Well, we think it is. Weather is pretty important. Hopefully you're paying attention and tuning in, so it's important to you and your family, I hope. Newark, we'll get to you in a second, Craig, just kind of calling out some names. Newark, Mount Vernon. Julie asked, has it slowed down significantly 9 p.m.? I'm not sure I understand the question. I'm going to do my best to break it down for you. So let's go in a little more detail in some of these snowfall amounts. So we're looking again at areas to the north, about 2 to 2.5 inches. That's been very consistent over the past day and a half. And what that tells the meteorologist in me is that with that consistency, that there's a higher confidence and a higher probability that that's going to happen. Columbus, London, Newark, very consistent in the 3 to 3.5 to 4 inch range. So that's what I said a moment ago. Plan for about a 3-inch snowfall. Further off toward the south, equally consistent, have been those pockets of deeper blue. And that simply means that areas around Lancaster, Athens, McConnellsville, Chillicothe, and Jackson, between 4 and maybe 5 inches of snow. And in this situation, it's too hard to tell exactly right now, as we're about 24 hours away from things winding down. In this situation, I've seen it happen before, where as the storm exits, there's one little pesky band of snow. It's just trying to wring out whatever moisture is left. I do feel that that's going to happen, and it's going to happen in this area, south and east of Columbus. So that's the area I do expect to pick up a little bit on the back end of the storm. And on top of that, as we talked about a few moments ago, even into Sunday morning, overall the large-scale accumulation will be tapering off. Still expecting to see some leftover snow showers, a very light, a very fluffy snow by Sunday morning, but nobody's going to want to go out there and clean that up, as it's going to be brutally cold. So just bringing you up to speed. If you're joining us, we're going to be on for 3 more minutes, just giving you the latest information. And of course, we have a complete breakdown coming up on 10 TV at 11 o'clock, and a friendly reminder that our team is going to have you covered all day tomorrow. We were always going to be on in the morning for the news, the evening with the news, and tomorrow night. But in between, we're going to have special coverage on 10 TV Plus. So more of a reason to tell your friends, of course, they can get a little bit of inside information and actually have a dialogue with the meteorologist on duty. That will be Aaron White or Michael Behrens in the evening, and get some of that information and get your questions answered, which is what I'm going to do right now with the time we have left in the period. Robert, will there be any school closures? Fortunately, depending on your perspective, this is coming on a Saturday, but I would not be surprised even into Monday morning, not because of a prolific snowfall, but because of the blustery conditions, and the crews just have a lot to deal with the blowing snow and the very, very cold temperatures on Sunday and Sunday night. We're talking single-digit lows on Monday morning, so it won't take anything more than a light breeze to push that wind chill down to around 0. So if I was a betting man, I would say probably. That's Robert's question about schools being closed. Go up a little bit for Mount Vernon. Mount Vernon looking at about 3 inches. Majority of that coming early afternoon tomorrow through about supper time. We'll say 1 o'clock till about 6 o'clock with that snow beginning to taper off there. Chillicothe, we've got you actually at about 3.7 inches, so call it about 4. The other challenge is that area is probably going to see a burst of snow in the early part of the afternoon, maybe a lull, and then kind of back in again as that storm begins to exit later in the afternoon and evening. Samuel Joe, this will be a drier snow. Last Tuesday was great. Snowman and snowball fights, if you're inclined. Really good packing snow. This is going to be temperatures pretty much in the 20s. So it might start off as a little bit more of a wet snow, but it's going to transition, and that ratio will be a little bit greater between the light snow and those colder temperatures.